Again, if you have three angles that add up to 90 degrees, just don't use the word complementary. Okay, so complementary is two angles measures add up to 90 degrees or have a sum of 90 degrees. And there's nothing in the definition that says that the angles have to touch. So here are two angles that are not touching, and I am telling you they are complementary. So let's say, and this is just an example, that that angle was 40 degrees. Then for the other angle to be complementary, it would have to be 50 degrees. I could have picked a totally different number. I could have said, hey, what do you want to use? And somebody could have yelled out 20 degrees. Then this would have been 70 degrees. Or somebody would have said, hey, it's 31. So if that's 31, then this one's 59. So it doesn't matter, it's as long as the two angles add up to 90 degrees. Now what if you already have a right angle? What if it's already a right angle? Can you say a right angle is complementary? No, a right angle by itself is 90 degrees, but if parts would be complementary. So for example, if I measured that and that was 20 degrees, then this upper angle would have had to been 70 degrees to make them complementary. Secondary word, or second word, is supplementary angles, and again it is two angles whose measures have a sum of or add up to 180 degrees. So sum or adds up to 180 degrees. And again, if you're looking at three angles and they add up to 180 degrees, that's fine. We just would not use the word supplementary, because supplementary is reserved for two angles. Again, the definition does not say that the two angles have to touch each other. So if we had an angle over here that was, let's say, 35 degrees, then this angle to actually be supplementary to it would have to be 145 degrees, because 145 plus 35 is 180. Now we know from a previous lesson that if you have a straight line, it is also known as a straight angle. We also know that if you have a straight angle, it's 180 degrees. So if you had a straight angle that was split into two, again, not necessarily cut in half, but split into two, these two parts should add up to 180 degrees for them to be supplementary. So let's say that this angle right here was 40 degrees, then the other angle would have to be 140 degrees to be supplementary. Excuse me. So if angles add up to 90, they're complementary. If two angles add up to 180, they're supplementary. A couple of ways to remember this is if you put complementary and supplementary alphabetically, complementary first. If you put 90 degrees and 180 degrees numerically, 90 would come first. Interesting little tidbit I thought was kind of interesting. So C for complementary, S for supplementary. You can turn the C into a 9. So now it's 90 degrees. And you can take the S and turn it into an 8, so it's 180 degrees. So that's a trick that you could think about, helping you remember the difference between the two. But I'm going to be honest, most people tend to get complementary and congruent mixed up because they sound so close together. Remember that congruent means that you have 2 or 3 or 4 things before they're congruent. Measure. Okay, so let's go to our first set of examples. We're going to talk about a complement and a supplement. And they look really close to complementary and supplementary, and that is because they are. It's just a totally different I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, complement is noun. Complementary angles is more like an adjective, and so it's a different part of speech. That's what I needed to say. So given a 30-degree angle, name its complement. So what is complementary to 30 degree? So 30 plus 60 is 90. So a 6-degree angle is the complement. given a 30-degree angle, name its supplement. So what angle is supplementary to 30 degrees? And that would be 150 degrees. So 150 degrees is the supplement to 30 degrees. So for those of you who are using the fill-in-the-blank notes, I have an example 0 that you do not have. So you are not expected to write this down. It's just to follow along. And if you're taking notes on your own piece of paper, again, you do not need to write this down. You can just follow along. So it says angle A and angle B are complementary, find X. So let's start with the geometry. What's complementary mean? Complementary means that the measure of the two angles A and B, because that's what they're being called, should add up to 90 degrees. So angles A and B are complementary, so their measures add up to 90. So that's our geometry, and we always start with our geometry. Then we move into the algebra through substitution. So what's the measure of angle A? It's 11x plus 24. And we bring down the plus sign. And then what's the measure of angle B? It's x plus 18 equals 90 degrees. So that's where you're going to start your algebra. Remember, anything written in red is not something that you have to write. I'm just putting it in there to reinforce the idea. Okay, so now we're going to just start. There are too many terms with an x. You only want one term on one side. So I'm going to combine like terms. 11x plus x is 12x. And then there's too many constants, so I'm going to combine them. So 24, positive 24, plus 18 is 42, a positive 42. So 12x plus 42 equals 90 degrees. Now I know in previous lessons I was saying, hey, if you aren't doing anything on that side, you don't have to write again and again. Well, that's because those were variables. 90 degrees is not a variable, so you cannot just leave it at the top. It has to come with it every single time. So now we're going to isolate the x term by subtracting the 42. So 12x equals 90 minus 42, which is 48. Then we're going to divide, because we're currently multiplying, by 12. Let's go back and reread the question. The measure of angle A, angle A and angle B are complementary. Find x. Find x. Oh gosh, that's what I've done. I'm done. I'm done with the question. And then I move on. So if you want to watch that again before you start, go ahead. So let's look at example 2. Angle A and angle B are supplementary. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of moving here. I'm going to try to leave that so you can see that. Okay, so angle A and angle B are supplementary. Find x. So again, supplementary, two angles whose measures add up to 180. So I'm going to apply my geometry. The measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B equals 180 degrees this time. Then we're going to substitute. So the measure of angle A was given as 2x minus 20. Bring down the plus sign. The measure of angle B was given as 3x plus 5, down the equal sign and the 180. Okay, combine like terms, 2x plus 3 plus 5 is negative 15. Bring down the equals, bring down the 180. So I'm not trying to add or subtract with anything in that step. I'm just combining like terms because there's too many of the same type of terms on the one side. Now I'm going to isolate the 5x. I'm going to add 15. So 5x equals, I'm going to add 15, 195. So 5x equals 195. So now we're going to divide by 5. So 5 goes into 19 3 times, because 5 times 3 is 15, leaving 4 behind. So 5 goes into 45 9 times. So x is 39. Please go back and read the question again. Angle A and angle B are supplementary. Find X. Yep, I did 180. Yep, I found X. I'm done. So if you have the fill in the blank notes, you should see the spacing on your paper. You actually should be doing a question 3 down here. Question 2 is kind of where my 0 is, and so you should have a blank question. Try question number 3 on your own. If you are doing your own notes and not using the fill in the blank notes, here is question 3 that you need to write down and try. And once you're done trying, please turn the video back. Welcome back. Okay, so let's start with the question. Angle A and angle B are, there's the geometry. The definition of complementary is the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B. Then we're going to substitute. The measure of angle A is 3x plus 10. Bring down the plus sign. The measure of angle B, 6x minus 1, equals 90 degrees. There are too many terms on the left with an x behind them. 10 minus 1 is 9, equals 90 degrees. I'm going to isolate the 9x by subtracting the 9. So 9x equals 81, not 99, 81. Divide by 9, and 81 divided by 9 is 9. So x is 9. Okay. If you've got something wrong, please fix it. Please fix it because I want your notes to be accurate. Okay, so we're going to read the question. Angle A and angle B are complementary. Find the measure of angle, find the measure of angle B. Did you guys read the question? Okay, so we know this from a previous lesson, that means you're now going to write down what the measure of angle B was given as, 6x minus 1. We're going to substitute 1. First is 54, so now we have 54 minus 1. And so the B degrees, because angles are always in degrees. Now, you should be double checking your work even in this instance. So how do you do it? Well, we know in the case of a bisector, you would actually find the other angle and they should be the same. Well, here we're going to do it, but in the end it's going to be different. I'm going to go find the other angle. So we already found angle B, so I'm going to go find angle A. I'm just going to do it in my head. So 9 times 7 plus 10 is 30. So I'm just going to write that down so you can see it. So if we have a 37 and a 53, 53 and 7 is 60, 30, that's 90. Oh, isn't that what they're supposed to add up to is 90? Then it is correct. We have double checked our work through substitution. Please don't forget to email your teacher and ask for private Zoom if you need that, or we can do a small study group. If you are emailing with a question, try to be as specific as possible. That way we can answer you in a little more timely manner. If we have to ask you more questions, of course, it takes longer for us to find out what you're really asking for. Have a great evening.